Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jake Salvi.
And I'm Chris Hicks. Welcome to The Rundown. We hope you all had a great winter break and the start to your second semesters. Let's kick off with some Siena sports. The Saints tennis team returned from their 2-month break to open the 2025 season against St. Francis. At the #1 spot, 2 Rookie of the Years faced off with Siena's Oscar Martinez, taking the win over Tyler Wynn in 3 sets.
That victory marks his 13th of the 2024-25 campaign. The only other Saint to take home a victory is Bruno Varela, moving up to 7-3. He beat Kevin Kruzel in straight sets, and the Saints are playing their 2025 home opener today at 2 p.m. against LIU.
Siena Swim and Dive hosted Stonehill College last Saturday for a meet. The Saints took home a dominant win against the Skyhawks. They won in the 200 freestyle, 100 breaststroke, 50 butterfly, 400-yard individual, the 50 and 100 free, and the 50 backstroke. A team of Maya Reed, Kylie Carter, Casey Owens, and Galen Kirk took the win in the 200 free relay. This served as a great bounce-back win for the Saints against Vermont. Their next match will be on the road next weekend when they face St. Peter's in Jersey City.
The women's basketball team had a busy winter break, playing 8 games with a record of 4-4. Last Saturday, they took on Merrimack at home in the UHY Center. Anijah Jackson put up 21 points on the night and also became the 30th player in program history to score 1,000 career points. 16 points from Anaja Brown and 14 from Teresa Zapala would help the Saints to see out a dominant win, 79-57. They also had a game on Thursday against Mount St. Mary's in Emmitsburg, Maryland. Teresa Zapala had a team high of 18 points paired with 5 rebounds. Anaja Brown had 10 points and 7 rebounds. Unfortunately, the Saints were not able to keep up with the Mountaineers, who shot over 50% from both the field and behind the arc. The final score was 92-57. Their next game comes against Iona today at the UHY Center, so make sure to come out and support your Saints.
The men's basketball team was also busy over winter break. The Saints played 8 games since our last segment, facing off against teams such as St. Bonaventure, Holy Cross, Cornell, Iona, and Sacred Heart. In those 8 games, Siena had a record of 3-5, leaving them in 7th place in the MAC Conference. They also had 2 games this past week, starting off with their matchup against Merrimack last Saturday at home. Brendan Coyle had a team high of 16 points paired with 7 boards on the night. Gavin Doty tallied 12 points and 10 rebounds, his second straight double-double and 3rd in the last 5 games. The Saints' efforts were not enough to keep up with the Warriors, who took the W 64-58. The second game of the week was against Mount St. Mary's on Thursday. A spectacular performance from Brendan Coyle, dropping a career high of 26 points, including a 7-minute stretch of 7 straight three-pointers. Additionally, strong performances from Justice Schultz and Major Freeman, who had 18 and 17 respectively, would allow the Saints to take an 82-68 win. The Saints' next game is on the road against Iona today. That's all we have this week for Siena Sports.
The Rundown's very own Steve Jones sat down with men's basketball coach Gerry McNamara. Let's take a look.
Thanks, Jake and Chris. Well, Coach, we really appreciate you joining us here on The Rundown this afternoon.
My pleasure.
So you grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
It's the best. You know, I'm lucky. Born and raised in the same place. You know, majority of my family's still there. I think the one thing, I've said it before, I'm really fortunate to grow up in a town where it's blue collar. You know, hardworking people. You know, you got to earn what you get. You know, and you know, watching my mother worked the late shift at the post office. I think she went in at like 3 or 4 in the morning to make sure she got home to get us off the bus at 2:30. My dad was the plant manager. A lot of that area, you know, Irish immigrant, you know, and a big thing, you know, I was so proud, like my father, Purple Heart recipient, Vietnam War veteran, enlisted right out of high school and, you know, raised us in Scranton, PA with the rest of our family and extended family, and we're part of a big community, and Holy Rosary Church is right down the street where we were all members, and that was our parish and that was our community as well. So just really lucky that it, you know, just an incredible, hardworking town, you know, that I was able to be raised in.
What are some lessons you learned from your parents?
All that, you know, I think the biggest one is, you know, you better get good grades in our house, and, you know, you had to do your homework before you did anything else, and, you know, I just think more by example, you know, watching my father, how he treated my mother, you know, that's kind of the model that I use as a husband, the relationship that he had with all his children, and, you know, to be raised as a man, he was the epitome, you know. He did things the right way. He was well respected, but no pushover by any means. And you know, I just think they instilled the life lessons it takes to, you know, which to me now, most importantly, is to be a family man.
So you played your high school basketball at Holy Cross High School. What was that like?
It's Bishop Hannon High School back when I played. It's Holy Cross now. But great, you know, by the time we were Holy Rosary in middle school, by the time I was making the decision to go to high school, my brother went to Bishop Hannon, and John Bucci had a great program going there. And, you know, we won a state championship in grade school, and most of our entire crew went on to go to Bishop Hannon together. And just a great 4 years of, you know, the same thing where, you know, you got a great community in terms of your high school base, but you also had an incredible basketball program to play in, where we had one of the best coaches in the area who pushed us. And, you know, I've said it before, I think that Booch kind of prepared me to go on and play for Jim Boeheim, you know, and just pushed us in a way that, you know, took us to a different level. But again, just an incredible 4-year stretch. Is where my wife also went to high school, Holy Rosary girl to high school together. So just a great 4 years.
So how did you meet Coach Boeheim then?
In the recruiting process, you know, so Syracuse had gotten a call that they needed to go check out a kid. I had a high school teammate, Brad Felicia, who was getting recruited to Fairfield, a big guy, 6'7". Matty Rowe was an assistant coach at Fairfield who played at Syracuse, called Mike Hopkins, and he's like, hey, Scranton has this little guard you got to go see. And that kind of took off from there. A week or two later, we were on Syracuse's campus and got a chance to meet Coach. They offered me a scholarship on the spot, and our relationship obviously grew from there. You know, and he's been a mainstay in my life since, you know, 2000. It was 24, 25 years now.
What was it like to play for Coach Boeheim?
It was great. Players coach. A lot of what I do is you know, kind of models what he did. You know, I think the greatest thing he did with the Syracuse program is he created a family. You're talking about 40-plus years of guys that all went through the same thing, playing for the same guy. A place where we all felt comfortable going back to. And once you stepped across those lines, you knew his office door was open to anything. And I think he's helped so many of his players behind the scenes after college with jobs and opportunities. That kind of goes unnoticed. Playing for him, not easy to play for, because he's going to push you and he expects you to be great. Not going to applaud you for everything you do. He expects you to make good plays and do the right things, which I love. And then off the court, you know you got a guy that's going to be in your life forever. And now I'm in the same position that he was for all those years, and I like to make sure that I do things the same way he did.
So talk to me a little bit about Carmelo Anthony. What was the relationship, or what is the relationship like between the two of you guys after all these years? He's
pretty good, isn't he? He's a pretty good player over all those years. And, you know, unfortunately, I only got the 1 year to play with him, but you know, it was a pretty good year that we got to play together. And then over the years, obviously, those NBA years, and I'm going overseas, you kind of lose touch. And then the last few years, our relationship has even grown closer probably now than it's ever been. And, you know, watching Cayenne, his son, go through his process, and me being at Syracuse recruiting him, being a part of his recruitment process, I'm just really happy for him. You know, I'm really, really happy of the NBA career he had, and he's recognized as one of the greatest scorers of all time. I really wish he was on a team that I thought was NBA capable of winning a championship, but watching what he accomplished through the Olympics. But as great as all his accomplishments are as a player, watching him be at everything that Cayenne does now, and being a part of his process and watching the joy that's brought to their lives, that's probably the thing that I'm happiest for him.
So you teased this a little bit already. You talked about your career overseas. Can you explain to us what your life was like after graduating from Syracuse?
Yeah, it's quick. You know, you go to Greece and you're there for a few months, and probably not the best playing situation for me professionally. Come back, play in the G League. Really good situation, played well, had some really great teammates, good friends, and guys that are all good players. And then same thing, you go back to Greece, you bounce around a little bit, and you're in Latvia, you go to the Jazz, you know, you're just playing summer leagues. So it happens quick, you know, when you play professionally. I think the biggest thing that most college guys don't know is when you go in that world, and you guys know you're in the professional world, it's cutthroat. You know, college is the one time, and probably the last time, that you play in something where you really are embraced and nurtured. So when I went into the coaching process, that was kind of what I was seeking again. as feeling like I was a part of something bigger than me. When I started playing professionally, there's such an individualism about it, and I missed that team aspect. So 3 years of kind of, I don't know if this is for me, and then immediately come back as a GA, a grad assistant at Syracuse, and got that feeling that I'd been looking for again.
So after that journey, you're on Coach Boeheim's staff, and then Coach Boeheim retires, and Coach Autry takes over. What are some lessons you took away from being on Coach Autry's staff?
Yeah, it was great. I've said it, since getting this job, that I thought that year in my development, my maturation, was really important to watch Adrian go through his process. He and I are great friends, as good of friends as you could be. He's one of my best friends. We lived like 5 or 6 houses from each other. We confide in each other and everything. And watching him kind of hit it in stride and seeing all the different angles that you're hit from fundraising to things behind the scenes that you don't factor into as an assistant coach. There's a lot of avenues and different places you're pulled in directions, and be there to support him. And majority of our conversations happened behind the scenes, not even in work, when we went home. So that was just a learning process for me, of knowing that if I got the opportunity one day to be a head coach, that I'd be pulled in a few different directions. Watching him go through it, it kind of prepared me for when I got here.
So in the spring, what was the transition like to come to Albany and then settle down Loudonville and just take over the reins of the Siena basketball program for you and your family?
I was living the frat life, I was living the frat life in Cohoes in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 adult males, I had a 1-bedroom. We had Ryan Bury sleeping on an air mattress and Ben Lee. So you didn't have time to think. I think it's the greatest part about it. It's, you talk about, and then Arenze and Ryan Blackwell were coming up on when they had opportunities, and we had our staff, and that was really important to us. But it just came so fast. I didn't have time. I was learning the area while I was recruiting. So I was having kids on campus that were trying to get and commit to this place, and I was learning what Route 9 is and what different places I'd be maybe going to lunch, and getting to meet store owners and people of the community. And as you're having lunch with a recruit, you have people coming in, introduce themselves, and that was great. That was great for me, because everything that I anticipated and thought about Siena College and the community and the support that it had, it was even stronger than I realized. And those first few weeks as we were recruiting and trying to put together a roster, I really got acclimated to the surrounding areas, and more importantly, the community and how strong it was.
What's been your favorite part of Albany so far?
The school, you have to factor in that I have to put my family before anything else. As important as this is, I'm a family man, I'm a father of 4. The hardest thing for us leaving Syracuse was the school district. Janesville, DeWitt, I've said it time and again, was so great to our children. It's the biggest reservation I had in leaving the area. Since we've been here, that's been the biggest relief, is getting the kids into great school districts. Getting them settled, feeling like they're creating new friends. Mom and dad are going to be fine. We're adults, we're tough, we'll figure it out. But it's your children you worry about, and just having them settled now, that's the biggest relief. That was the biggest stressor for me, was moving my family, uprooting 4 kids that Syracuse was all they knew. So getting here, getting them acclimated, getting on a school schedule, mom and dad are busy. I leave work and we're picking kids up from practice or driving them to practice, driving other kids to practice in our community. So it's been nice to just kind of settle in as a family in a new place.
What is one thing you try to teach your kids every day?
The same thing I was taught. If you're going to go after something that you want, you better earn it. Things don't happen by accident. You got to be a hard worker, put your head down, and focus on the things that are important to you. And same thing that my parents did for myself and my siblings. And you better get good grades in school. We take that seriously. Mom got good grades, Dad got okay grades. So it's the most important thing for us, is that our children are well respected. They carry themselves the right way, and it's how we were raised in a blue collar town, like I said. And that's the model that I know, and it's the model I teach.
Well, Coach, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time on the rundown here this afternoon.
Appreciate you. My pleasure.
Best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Maggie, take it away.
Thanks, Steve. And we're back. Thank you for being with us on your Saturday. Again, Joe Lemery and Stephen Jones, I'm Maggie Miller. We have some news from the NBA All-Star Game that we'll get to in a bit, but first, let's start off with some college hoops, and not just any. The The SEC has been playing top-level basketball up to this point in this season. Sitting first is the undefeated Auburn Tigers, who are 5-0 in the conference play. They have one of the most premier starting five in the country. Following down the standings, Alabama sits second. Sitting in a five-way tie for third is Missouri, Florida, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. Now, Steve, you love your Terps, but would you say the SEC is better than the Big Ten?
Well, shout out my Maryland Terrapins. Big road win last night in Champaign, 21-point upset versus the number 17 Illinois. But how about them? How about those Auburn Tigers? Johnny Broome, Bruce Pearl, fantastic duo this year. Johnny Broome averaging 17.9, almost 11 boards a game, 3.2 assists. The SEC right now is taking that narrative of we're just a football conference and taking it on the run. It's no longer the ACC and the Big Ten are the hoops conferences, right? No. It's the SEC and the Big Ten. We're seeing a dynamic change and shift, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the ACC, you have that North Carolina, you have that Duke squad, right? Those are the two teams, kind of been that standard. Obviously, you can throw Syracuse in the mix there too with Boeheim all those years. But SEC is right up there, as you mentioned it. And Auburn, it starts with them. Probably the number one team in the country. Bruce Pearl has been around for a while. He's sensational. And another team, Oklahoma. I mean, they're 14-4 right now in that conference. Top 25 win over Louisville, top 25 win over Michigan. Both ACC and Big Ten teams. So Oklahoma can compete with the best of the best. They have a rematch against Texas A&M in the next 3 days, and Auburn's still ahead. So this is a team, especially well coached by Porter Moser. Come March, I'm really excited to see what this Oklahoma team can do. And Steve, a big thing here, every team in the SEC has a winning record. And I think that's remarkable and just a credit to the talent and the coaches and how competitive that conference is.
Joe, I got to ask you, though, how far do you see Oklahoma advancing in the SEC tournament?
I think they got a shot. I mean,
okay, all right.
Look, they're not up there ranking-wise, right? They're kind of middle of the pack, lower tier. But they are very capable of beating an Auburn Tigers team. Look, we saw Duke exploit them in their game, Duke being their only loss of the season. So these teams, they can study film on these other teams that have beaten Auburn. And look, Bruce Pearl is still trying to chase a national championship. This man has come so close so many times and has fallen short. I think we're in an era of college basketball right now where any team can lose at any point and any team can win at any point. We see a lot more mid-majors nowadays that are beating top Power 5, Power 4 conferences.
JMU.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think Oklahoma is going to go as far as their coach wants to take them, as far as the buy-in goes with the players, and I think they certainly have the players to get that done.
All right, so let's move on to the NFL playoffs where only 4 teams still stand. Tomorrow, the Washington Commanders travel to Philly to play the Eagles at 3 p.m. After taking down the Packers and the Rams, Philadelphia is looking to have another Super Bowl berth since defeated early in the playoffs last season. The Commanders, with first-year head coach Dan Quinn, upset the number 1 ranked Lions. This team will be playing tough to see their first Super Bowl appearance since 1991. Now, Joe, which team do you think is taking home the title of NFC champion?
Oh, boy. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Philly should not lose this game. Let me be very clear on that. Philly should win this, and they should win by a landslide. It really shouldn't be close if we're looking at this on paper. Philly's roster is absolutely loaded. They have Nick Sirianni, who's been a consistent head coach for years now, on this team. Barkley, Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. That offense is a juggernaut. We all know that. The defense, no scrubs either. Arguably one of the best D in the entire league. And Vic Fangio, an outstanding job. Got to give him credit where credit's due. He's totally changed that defense from last year to this year. But I'll tell you, there is a dangerous man on the other side wearing number 5 in maroon. Look, Jaden Daniels, that man is not a rookie. I'm going to tell you that right now. He is a special talent, top 7 quarterback in the NFL in my eyes. And I think, again, the Eagles should absolutely be favorites in this game. But I just got a feeling history and destiny, they're looking down from the sky right now, and they're saying, Jaden Daniels, it's your time. And he's going to find a way to win this game. In my eyes, I got the Commanders winning this one in a nail-biter.
You know, it's almost as if the football gods are looking down on us and just saying, we'll take whatever we can get from those late
Right.
80s, 90s battles, right? But, Joe, look, we talked about history and fate. I really do think, guys, that Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, although one has more postseason experience than the other, they're just going to hand Jaden Daniels a little taste of revenge. That late season loss, you and I, we all know this doesn't sit well at all with Nick Sirianni. We know that man encapsulates the meaning of emotion. We know Jalen Hurts has a chip on his shoulder. He didn't want to play hurt all year long. We know Saquon Barkley has had arguably one of the best seasons of his career. I think a lot of people will be taking that 6-point spread unless you live in D.C. or hate the Eagles like most of us do. But in all reality, as much as I think Jaden Daniels is very special, I have to take the Eagles in this one.
Here's my thing. Jalen Hurts, right? We saw him get a little hobbled in the last game in the divisional. The question mark is there. Is Jalen Hurts going to be able to perform? Because honestly, if he can't run with the football, if he can't utilize his legs, if you have to rely on Barkley the entire game, what is Jalen Hurts to this team? Other than, what, like Big Ben at the end of his prime, just standing there in the pocket? Like, come on. I mean, like, Jalen Hurts, the last half of that game, he did not look very mobile. He didn't really do much. They really relied on Saquon Barkley to carry themselves over the Rams. And I don't think that's going to be enough against Washington. Washington put 45 up against Detroit, the #1 team in the league. I still think the best team. If they were able to get past Washington, they probably would make it to the Super Bowl. But Washington just finds ways to win. Dan Quinn, a Coach of the Year candidate, outstanding what he's done to this young man, Jaden Daniels, and I just don't think anyone has an answer to stop him. This kid is playing with so much confidence, so much poise. Never seen a rookie, again, he's not a rookie. I've never seen a player play with so much confidence and poise at his age and what he's doing with this team, the turnaround this year. It's special. I just see this story written all over it, and it's a beautiful thing.
He is the sixth rookie to make a conference championship game since 1970. In the words of Walt Clyde Frazier, the neophyte, right? Jaden Daniels. He's put on a clinic all season long. How can you not love it? But, you know, you're right. The roster for the Eagles, very injury prone right now. No Nakobe Dean. Darius Slade does not look 100%. So, Joe, I do agree with you on that one, but I will have to dig my heels in the ground with this one with Philly.
All right. Now, with the way he's been playing, do you think that Jaden Daniels has a shot to get Rookie of the Year? Anybody?
I mean, yes. I mean, duh.
Do you think?
I mean, Jaden, there's no question. I mean, Jaden Daniels is the Rookie of the Year, right? I mean, sure, you got Brock Bowers. He had an outstanding season, the tight end for the Las Vegas Raiders, right? And start off beginning of the year, Jaden Daniels really, really good. Bo Nix turns it up a little bit. Now we got question marks. And then Jaden Daniels kind of just rolls away with this. And by a landslide, it's not close. Look, credit Bo Nix, outstanding season. Brock Bowers, him too. But Jaden Daniels is on another level. Again, in my eyes, a top 7 quarterback in this league already. He's up there with the best of the best. I don't think he's as good as Burrow, Mahomes, Lamar, and Josh Allen, but certainly there's not many other quarterbacks I'd pick besides him right now. And we thought C.J. Stroud was having an outstanding season in Houston his rookie year. This has just been quadruple the amount of success and just amazing. I'm grateful we get to watch this. As fans of the game, it's special and it's history.
Yeah.
Stroud and Daniels, right? Real quick, those two are chasing each other down, but Daniels, Rookie of the Year.
That's unarguable. Honestly,
Yeah.
You would be out of your mind to not pick Jaden Daniels for Rookie of the Year. I know
Right.
a lot of the time these Rookie of the Years, these Offensive Player of the Years, these MVPs, it's gotten a lot more quarterback centralized, right? But, man, a hard time not voting for Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's just special.
Yeah. So now let's turn to the AFC Championship game. The Buffalo Bills will travel to the Midwest to take on the Kansas City Chiefs tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Josh Allen and the rest of the Bills will have to be on their A game if they're going to want a chance to make it to the Super Bowl. While the Chiefs play a tough game, there's been a lot of speculation about the refs playing it soft for them. Joe, first tell us who you think got winning this game, and then your thoughts on the refs.
Man, this is another one. This is just going to be, I'm so excited for Championship Sunday because it's just going to be amazing football on display. I think Buffalo gets over the hump this year. I really do. And look, neither team is really flashy this year, but the Bills have a ton of heart on this team. The defense is playing very tight right now. They're coming alive in the moments that matter. DeMar Hamlin, a Comeback Player of the Year finalist. He has had a great year in the secondary. And, of course, we know Josh Allen's going to ball, right? This has kind of been that rivalry between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, where it's been like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning-esque, But I think this is Josh's time. Like, Peyton was able to have some time over Brady, make it to the Super Bowl, and capitalize. I think this is exactly what Josh wants. I think this is what he needs. And this is only a legacy builder, right? He wins this game, goes to the Super Bowl, potentially wins it, and he's right up there with some of the greatest of all time. So I think the Bills finally get the win this year. I'm going to pick a close one, 27-26, Buffalo.
I don't think anybody can deny the fact that Josh Allen's window of having a very good shot at beating a very vulnerable Kansas City Chiefs team is running out. That window is closing very soon. Josh Allen, this is your year. 30 plus years ago, wide right. Last year, wide right. No. Flip the script. This time, Buffalo will get that ending, that ideal ending, not the Kansas City type of ending, not a wide right ending. It will be their year. That offense and defense is prone to beat the Chiefs, and they were made for this. They're 1-0 in the regular season. Took care of business. Now, Josh Allen, how can you be a field general and that overall leader in the clubhouse going into Kansas City? It's like playing in your backyard, right? It's not Buffalo, but we all know it's going to be frigid. I'm taking the Bills 28-24.
I'll tell you, the 3 X factors for Kansas City: Chris Jones on the D-line, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely.
If all 3 of them have lights-out games, I'm talking like Mahomes throws for like 300, Kelce gets 100 plus, Chris Jones has like a couple sacks, some tackles, going to be tough for Buffalo because they don't have that flashy, they don't have Diggs anymore. Their team, I think, is better, and they play with more grit, and they've got this toughness that we haven't necessarily seen in the past. But I'll tell you, if those 3 guys on Kansas City are locked and loaded and they're ready to go, it is going to be a tough one, and I think Buffalo's going to have to, as Stephen A. Smith alluded to on First Take, they might have to score 35-plus to win this game. And for some reason, the Chiefs, all season, their storyline has been finding ways to win games. They're not the best team in the world. I've said many times I think that any team in the league has a shot to beat them, and they found ways to win. So Buffalo's got to be careful. Again, I think they'll win this game, but it's going to be a little cautious if you're Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.
All right, so we got some exciting news from the MLB this offseason. Some new names will be on display in Cooperstown. Ichiro Suzuki, who played outfield with the Mariners, Yankees, and Marlins, CC Sabathia, who notably pitched for the Guardians and Yankees, and Billy Wagner, who pitched for 16 seasons with the Astros, Mets, Phillies, and Red Sox. You know, I mean, I'm happy that CC got picked, but Steve, I know you may not like that so much. Who do you think was snubbed from the list?
Shout out to CC. I mean, CC, Ichiro, Billy, they all deserve it. But one of the similarities that the name I'm about to say and Billy Wagner have in the past 2 years of voting was that time of the ballot's coming to an end. The general rules are you need 75% of the vote before your 10-year mark is up. Andrew Jones, he received 66.2% of the votes this year. Next year will be his ninth year on the ballot. That time is running out. We can't deny how good that man was in Atlanta. For the 90s Braves, he was a staple with Chipper, with John Smoltz, with Greg Maddux. He was outstanding. 434 home runs, 254 batting average, a 486 slugging percentage, over 1,900 hits. He was electric, and he was must-see for that Atlanta Braves team in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to disagree a little bit. I think there's a reason why Andrew Jones hasn't been selected, and going on 9 years, I think there's plenty of other players that are more deserving. I'm pretty happy with this list this year. I mean, Suzuki, obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion. If there's anyone I'd make an argument for, it'd be Carlos Beltran. That dude was sensational. Fantastic career. Loved watching him play. But overall, I'm very happy with these selections.
Yeah. So speaking of being snubbed from a list, the NBA All-Star Game starters were announced on Thursday night. In the East, they'll start Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Giannis, and Kat. And in the West, they have Steph Curry, SGA, KD, LeBron, and Jokic. Now, quickly, who do you guys think should have made the starters list? We'll start with you, Steve.
I got to go Victor Wembanyama. He has had one heck of a sophomore campaign, and honestly, in the last 10 years, one of the best sophomore campaigns I've seen from a second-year man in the NBA. He's been outstanding. The Frenchman has put on a clinic and has been a key part of the rejuvenation of why the Spurs have a chance to be relevant and be in the play-in for the first time ever and possibly make a playoffs for the first time in a long, long time in San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, it's a toss-up, right? Wembanyama, Anthony Davis. I think I'd have to go Anthony Davis a little bit. I think he's been hurt, but 25, nearly 12 rebounds a game. He's been special. I understand Wembanyama's uprising. Chris Paul has had a lot to do with that. It's been remarkable to see, especially without Pop. But Anthony Davis is a big reason why the Lakers are still relevant right now. LeBron's numbers have declined a little bit. As far as the East goes, really pleased with that. Kat, Brunson, they're owned in New York right now, and it's been a special duo to see in Kat's year one. So very pleased with the starters, but could be Anthony Davis or Victor Wembanyama.
So that'll do it on our first episode back of The Rundown. A thank you to Matt, Jake, Chris, and Nicolette. With you, Joe, Steve, and Maggie. Catch us again next Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone.